I never thought this would be my life. I'm just an average guy standing in my suburban kitchen staring at the microwave clock. It's one of those moments when you feel time has stopped, like the universe is pausing just for you to absorb this new reality. I'm Jake, and until recently I thought I had it all figured out. A decent job, a cozy home, and a wife who I believed loved me. Her name is Lisa, and I thought we were happy. But lately, the little cracks in our marriage have turned into gaping chasms, and I'm left wondering if I ever really knew her at all. Everything started to change about 6 months ago. Lisa began to act differently, more distant, more irritable. Those little loving gestures that used to come naturally to her felt forced. The kisses lingered less, the laughter faded, and dinners became silent affairs, punctuated by her eyes glued to her phone. I brushed it off as stress from work. After all, her job at the marketing firm was demanding, and I believed in giving her space. But the signs were there. I just ignored them. I didn't want to believe my wife could be unhappy with me. Then came the night that shattered my world. I was out late with a couple of friends trying to shake off the feeling of unease that had been creeping up on me. When I got home, I half expected to find her asleep on the couch, but instead, I found her phone sitting on the kitchen counter, buzzing with notifications. I shouldn't have looked. I know that now. But curiosity, that insatiable beast, got the better of me. I picked up the phone and the screen lit up with a text notification from a number I didn't recognize. "I can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing." My heart sank. It was a text from a guy named Mark, and it felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I stared at it, trying to process what it meant. My hands trembled as I put the phone down. I wanted to scream, but the silence in the house was deafening. I spent the night tossing and turning, replaying every moment in our marriage. How could I have been so blind? I should have noticed the late nights, the sudden interest in her appearance, the little white lies about where she was going. But I was in denial, wrapped up in the comforting illusion of our life together. When morning came, I knew I needed to confront her. So I did. I waited until she was sipping her coffee, staring out the window as if she could see the truth hidden in the horizon. I sat across from her, heart racing, and laid it all out. I told her I found the text. Her reaction was immediate, and her face twisted into something I had rarely seen, anger mixed with panic. It was almost like she was more concerned about the consequences than the betrayal itself. "Jake, it's not what you think," she exclaimed, her voice shrill. "Mark is just a friend. You know how I am with people at work. We were just out for drinks." I couldn't believe it. I felt rage boiling up inside me, but I fought to keep my voice steady. "Just a friend. You call him amazing and have drinks at midnight. That's more than a friendship, Lisa." She went on to make excuses. "I was feeling lonely and you've been so distant lately." I did mean for it to happen. "I love you, I really do." She said those words with the same tone she used when she apologized for burning dinner, and both felt like lies. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I couldn't recognize the woman I married. The anger morphed into something else: sadness, betrayal, a profound sense of loss. I had given her everything, and she had tossed it aside for a fling. I felt like a fool, and I hated myself for not seeing it sooner. As the reality of the moment sunk in, I realized I had to make decisions. My heart was pounding in my chest, my mind racing. What did I want? What could I do? The thought of losing her shattered me, but I knew I couldn't just pretend everything would go back to normal. She had crossed a line, and I was standing at a crossroads, teetering between anger and heartbreak. After that morning, everything changed between us, and it felt like a switch had flipped. The atmosphere in our home became heavy, thick with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. I was walking on eggshells, unsure of what to say or how to act. Lisa tried to act normal, but every time she touched me or attempted to initiate a conversation, I felt a surge of anger and betrayal. It was like a sickening reminder of her lies. Days turned into weeks, and I was consumed by the need to know more about this guy, Mark. I couldn't help it. My mind raced with the prospect of what they had shared, the intimacy they had experienced together. I found myself driving past his apartment complex more than once, each time telling myself it was just to clear my head. Each time, I felt more and more like a stalker, but I needed answers, closure, or maybe even a face to put to the betrayal. On one of those drives, I saw him, Mark. He was walking out of his building, laughing with a friend. I felt a surge of rage like I had never experienced before. Who the hell was he to invade my life like this? I gripped the steering wheel, nails digging into the leather, my knuckles turning white. I wanted to confront him, to yell and scream, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. Instead, I drove home, my mind racing with thoughts and plans. That night I decided to do some digging. I took Lisa's phone when she fell asleep on the couch, scrolling through her messages and social media. It felt like a violation, but I justified it. She had violated my trust first. I found more messages between them, flirtatious texts, shared memes that hinted at their connection. I couldn't believe how easily she had lied to my face. One message stood out. "Can't wait for the weekend. Just you and me, babe." My heart sank again. They were planning something I couldn't bear to think about. I put the phone down, my entire body shaking with rage and heartbreak. I had to do something, but what? I didn't want to take the path of anger, but how could I just let this slide? I devised a plan, one that would not only give me information but would also allow me to confront both Lisa and Mark with undeniable evidence. I reached out to a friend of mine, Tom, who worked in a security firm. He had access to surveillance equipment and resources that could help me gather information discreetly. I told him I needed help and he didn't ask questions. Tom was reliable, a true friend, and I was grateful for his support. A few days later, we set up a small camera near the entrance of Mark's apartment complex. I wanted to capture evidence of their rendezvous, something that would make Lisa realize the full weight of her betrayal. I knew it was underhanded, but I was desperate. The emotional turmoil I felt was overwhelming, and I needed to see the truth for myself. The wait was agonizing. Each day felt like an eternity, and I could hardly concentrate at work. I replayed every moment from our marriage in my head, torturing myself with what I could have done differently. The thought of confronting Lisa again filled me with dread, but I knew it had to happen. I couldn't live with this uncertainty. Finally, the day arrived. I got a call from Tom, his voice filled with urgency. "Jake, we've got something." My heart raced as he played back the footage, and there they were. Lisa and Mark, laughing and flirting outside his apartment. The intimacy between them was palpable, and with each passing second, my heart shattered a little more. I felt sick to my stomach. They were not just friends. This was an affair, and the reality of it hit me like a ton of bricks. That night I confronted Lisa again. I could feel the anger boiling within me, but I also felt an odd calmness as I prepared for the inevitable explosion. When she walked in, I was waiting for her, and the tension in the room was palpable. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "About what?" she asked, feigning ignorance as she set her purse down. I pulled out my phone and played the video. Her face drained of color as she realized what I was showing her. "Oh my God, Jake, I can explain," she stammered, her voice rising in pitch. "You can explain? Explain what, Lisa? You were just having drinks with Mark, right? Is that what you call it?" I felt rage and sadness wash over me as I watched her scramble for excuses. "No, please listen. It wasn't like that." I was confused and I didn't know how to talk to you. I interrupted her. "You didn't know how to talk to me? You didn't think it would be easier than betraying everything we built together?" The tears streamed down her face, and I felt a fleeting moment of pity for her. But the hurt was too deep, the betrayal too fresh. I wanted to hurt her back, to make her feel the pain she had caused me. As I stared into her eyes, filled with regret and fear, I knew I had to make a decision that would change everything. I had to choose between forgiveness and vengeance, between love and the urgent need for my own peace. As I sat there, watching Lisa's tears fall, I felt the weight of the decision pressing down on me. I could see the remorse in her eyes, genuine or not, I couldn't tell. All I knew was that the love I once felt was overshadowed by the betrayal. "You've shattered my trust, Lisa," I said, my voice steady but filled with pain. "I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way again." She reached out to touch my arm, but I pulled away, feeling as if even her touch was tainted. "Jake, please, I never meant for any of this to happen," she pleaded. "I was feeling so alone. I thought maybe a little attention from someone else would wake you up. I thought you were drifting away." Drifting away? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I had put my heart and soul into our marriage, but somehow I was the one being accused of neglect. You think cheating on me would make things better? I shot back, my anger flaring again. You think this is a way to fix our problems? She shook her head vehemently, desperation etched on her face. No, I thought you'd notice me again. You've been so wrapped up in work and everything else. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm so sorry. Her apologies felt empty, as if she were trying to fill a void that had been created by her own actions. I took a deep breath, trying to quell the storm of emotions that raged within me. I don't know if I can forgive you, Lisa. You've broken something that can't be easily repaired. She sobbed, and for a brief moment I felt a pang of sympathy, but then the anger surged back, fueled by the footage I had seen. The laughter, the intimacy between her and Mark felt like a dagger twisting in my heart. I had to be strong, even if it felt wrong. What were you thinking? Did you ever consider what this would do to us? I was just trying to feel wanted. She shouted, her voice breaking. You were so busy with work and everything else. I felt invisible. I thought I was losing you. Losing me. I couldn't believe her words. You're the one who walked away from our marriage. You were the one who chose to be with him. Her face twisted in anguish. She was torn, and I could see the conflict in her eyes. I know, I messed up. I messed up so bad, Jake. Please just give me a chance to make it right. But how could I? The foundation of our relationship had cracked, and even her earnest pleas felt like attempts to manipulate the situation. I had always believed in second chances, but this was different. This was betrayal on a level I never expected. You've made your bed, Lisa. I don't know if I can lie in it with you anymore. The silence that followed was deafening. I could feel the emotions swirling between us: anger, sadness, regret, and an undeniable sense of loss. This was the moment I had dreaded, but it was here, whether I was ready for it or not. I had to make a choice. I felt the coldness seeping into my bones as I considered my options. I could choose to stay and work on things, but how could I trust her again? Or I could walk away, but the thought of losing her still made my heart ache. The idea of separation felt like a failure, yet staying together felt impossible. Jake, Lisa's voice broke through my thoughts, soft and pleading. I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy. We can work through this. I'll prove to you that I love you. Her words lingered in the air, heavy with desperation. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But could I accept that she might have already made her choice? I needed time to think. I can't make any promises right now, I finally said. I need space. Lisa, she looked at me with wide eyes as if my words had physically struck her. Space, you're leaving me. I'm not leaving you, I corrected. I just need time to figure this out. I can't make a decision in the heat of the moment. Her face fell, and I saw the flicker of hope extinguish. I can't lose you, Jake. That would destroy me. Then you should have thought about that before you chose to betray me, I said, my voice hardening again. You need to understand the gravity of what you've done. I grabbed my keys and walked out of the house, feeling the weight of our shattered relationship follow me like a shadow. The night air was cool against my skin, but inside I was on fire. I had just stepped into a nightmare, and I wasn't sure how to wake up from it. I drove aimlessly, trying to clear my head, but every street felt like a reminder of what I was losing. The memories flooded back: dinner dates, quiet evenings on the couch, vacations we took together. I couldn't deny that I loved her once, but that love felt tainted now. I found myself at the local park, where we used to walk hand in hand, and I parked the car, staring blankly at the ground. I realized I needed to take control of my life again. I had to make a decision that would define my future. After everything I had seen and felt, I owed it to myself to explore the possibility of moving on. It wouldn't be easy, but I was tired of feeling like a victim in my own life. I had to reclaim my narrative, and that meant deciding whether to fight for a love that felt like a lie or to seek a fresh start. The days that followed felt like an endless cycle of pain and uncertainty. I returned to the house, but it was like living in a time capsule. The laughter and warmth that once filled our home had been replaced by an eerie silence. Lisa remained hopeful, constantly reaching out, trying to talk through the mess between us. But every conversation felt like a rehearsed script, filled with apologies and pleas that only reminded me of her betrayal. I took time off work, needing to distance myself from the daily grind and devote my energy to figuring out what I truly wanted. The evenings were the hardest. I would sit alone in the living room, staring at the TV without really watching it, lost in thought. I found myself going through photos on my phone, trying to remember the moments that had once made me so happy. It was a bittersweet exercise that left me feeling even more confused. Meanwhile, Lisa started to change her approach. She began attending therapy sessions, trying to understand her feelings and the choices she had made. I appreciated her efforts, but it felt too little too late. Her sincerity was hard to gauge after everything that had happened. I often wondered if she was genuinely trying to change or if she was just trying to save face. One night, as I was scrolling through social media, I stumbled upon a picture of Mark. He was at a bar, surrounded by friends, and there she was, sitting right next to him, her arm draped casually over his shoulder. A wave of nausea hit me hard. It was as if the universe was mocking me, reminding me of the betrayal that had shattered my world. I felt anger boiling up inside me again, but this time I didn't want to react. I didn't want to be the man who let his emotions dictate his actions. Instead, I reached out to Tom again. I needed a confidant, someone who wasn't wrapped up in the turmoil of my relationship. We met up at a local pub and I poured out my feelings. I don't know what to do, man. Part of me wants to forgive her, but how can I trust her again? It feels like I'm living in a nightmare. Tom listened patiently, his brow furrowed in thought. You've got to ask yourself what you want. Do you want to be with her? Can you see a future together after everything? Or would you be better off moving on? I thought I could work through it, I admitted, the weight of my words heavy in the air. But every time I look at her, I remember the betrayal. It hurts too much. Maybe what you need is a clean break to really think clearly. Sometimes space can show you what you really want, he suggested. I mulled over his words, realizing he was right. I had been trying to navigate my feelings while still living in the same space as Lisa. I needed to break the cycle, to have time away from her to gain perspective. I decided it was time for me to take a stand. That evening, I returned home with a firm resolve. Lisa was sitting at the kitchen table, papers spread out in front of her, probably working on notes for therapy. When she saw me, her eyes lit up with hope, but I could see the underlying fear. "Jake, can we talk?" asked, her voice tentative. I sat down across from her, steeling myself for what I was about to say. "I think it's time for us to take a break. I need some space to process everything." Her expression shifted, uncertainty washing over her face. "A break? What do you mean?" "I mean I need to move out for a while. I can't think clearly with you here. I need time to figure out if I want to continue this relationship or if it's time for me to move on," I stated, my voice firm yet gentle. "You can't be serious," she exclaimed, tears welling up in her eyes. "We can fix this. I'll do whatever it takes. I know you want to fix things, but I need to do this for myself. I can't keep pretending that everything is okay when it's not. This isn't just about you and me anymore. It's about my own healing too." She opened her mouth to respond, but I held up my hand to silence her. "I need you to hear me out. I can't be the guy who just brushes this under the rug. I need to understand if I can really trust you again, and for that I need distance." Silence enveloped us, and I could feel the weight of my decision hanging in the air. Lisa's face crumpled and she began to cry, the tears spilling over. "Jake, please don't do this. I don't want to lose you. I know it hurts, but this isn't just about what you want. I have to prioritize my own mental health and well-being. I can't make a decision while I'm still living in the chaos of our situation," I said, my heart breaking for her but resolute in my choice. I stood up, ready to leave the conversation behind me, but I could still feel her eyes on me, pleading, searching for any sign that I might change my mind. "Please don't walk away. I'll fight for us," she cried. "I need to think about what I want, Lisa," I replied softly. "I hope you understand." With that, I walked out of the room, feeling both empowered and defeated. I knew this was the right decision for me, but it didn't make the hurt any less painful. It was time to reclaim my space, my life, and my sense of self. I had to put myself first, even if it meant taking the hardest step yet. I started making arrangements to stay with Tom for a while. I needed a safe space where I could think clearly, where I wouldn't be bombarded by the memories of what I had lost. But deep down, I also felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this break would provide the clarity I desperately sought. Perhaps, in time, I would find a path that led me away from the pain of betrayal and toward a future I could embrace. The first few days away from Lisa were filled with a whirlwind of emotions. I moved into Tom's spare room, which felt like a refuge from the chaos of my life. It was quiet and gave me the space I needed to reflect on everything that had transpired. I spent sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, replaying memories of Lisa and remembering the love we had shared. It felt surreal that everything could change in an instant due to her choices. Tom was a fantastic support. He filled our evenings with distractions, grabbing dinner, watching movies, and taking long drives to clear our heads. He didn't pry into my feelings too much. He just offered a steady presence, allowing me the space to grieve and heal. Still, the silence of the nights was deafening, and I often found myself contemplating what my future would look like without Lisa. As the days turned into weeks, I started to feel a shift. The initial pain of betrayal was still there, but it was mingling with moments of clarity. I realized how much of my own identity had been intertwined with her, how much I had sacrificed for the sake of our marriage. Being away from her allowed me to rediscover myself, what I wanted, who I was without her. I started to prioritize my own needs, going for runs in the early mornings and picking up hobbies that had fallen by the wayside during our tumultuous times. I rediscovered my love for cooking, experimenting with new recipes that excited me. I learned to take care of myself in a way I hadn't prioritized before, and that felt empowering. But there were still moments of doubt. I couldn't shake the feeling of loss. I often wondered if I should reach out to Lisa to see how she was doing, or if it would only complicate things further. I felt guilty for moving on while she was still in pain, but deep down, I knew I had to put myself first. One evening, as I sat on the couch with Tom, I received a text from Lisa. My heart raced as I opened it, and I felt a mix of emotions flood through me. It was an apology, heartfelt and raw. She expressed how much she missed me, how she was working on herself, and how she hoped I would consider coming back. My first instinct was to respond, to comfort her, but then I remembered the pain that had led us here. "Are you going to reply?" Tom asked, glancing over at my phone. "I don't know," I admitted, feeling conflicted. "I want to be supportive, but I also need to protect my heart." "Take your time, man," he said. "You don't owe her anything right now. You're doing what's best for you." I put my phone down, letting the message linger in my mind. I needed to process my feelings before making any decisions. That night I tossed and turned again, playing the message over and over in my head. I could see Lisa's face, the way she looked when she was genuinely upset. I wondered if she truly understood the impact of her actions, and if she was genuinely committed to changing. The next day, I decided to reach out to a therapist I had been referred to. I needed guidance on how to navigate my feelings and figure out what I wanted moving forward. The session was enlightening. The therapist helped me untangle the emotions that had been swimming in my head: anger, betrayal, sadness, and even moments of longing. I learned that it was okay to feel all of these things, and that taking time for myself didn't mean I was abandoning Lisa. It simply meant I was prioritizing my well-being. As I continued to attend therapy sessions, I began to understand the importance of setting boundaries. Lisa's message had stirred up a lot inside me, and I had to clarify what I wanted. I decided to write her a response, but it wouldn't be an easy one. I wanted to express my feelings honestly while also being clear about my boundaries. I poured my heart into the message, explaining how much her betrayal had hurt me and how I needed to see real change before considering any reconciliation. I told her that I appreciated her efforts in therapy, but I was still working on myself and needed space to heal without the pressure of her expectations. I took a deep breath before hitting send, feeling a mix of relief and anxiety wash over me. That act of clarity became a turning point. I knew that whatever happened next was out of my hands. I couldn't control her reactions, but I could control my own journey. Days passed and I didn't receive a response. Part of me worried that my words had pushed her away, but I had to remind myself that I was doing what was right for me. I found comfort in my new routine, going for jogs in the mornings, indulging in books I had meant to read, and becoming reacquainted with friends I had neglected. Slowly, I began to feel like myself again. Then one evening, I got a call from Lisa. It was a moment I had both anticipated and dreaded. I answered, my heart pounding. "Jake," her voice was shaky. "I've been thinking about what you said. I want to talk." I took a deep breath, steadied myself, and set boundaries in my mind. "Okay, we can talk, but I want you to know that I'm still figuring things out." "Of course, I understand," she replied, her tone earnest. We made plans to meet the following day at a coffee shop. As I prepared for our conversation, I felt a mix of nervousness and anticipation. This was the moment I had been waiting for, but I also knew that it would take more than just a conversation for us to move forward. The road ahead was still uncertain, and I had to remind myself to stay grounded in my newfound strength. When the time came to meet, I arrived early, my thoughts racing with what we would discuss. I was ready to set my boundaries and express my feelings, but I also had to be prepared for whatever Lisa might throw at me. I was in control of my narrative now, and whatever the outcome, I was finally ready to reclaim my life. I arrived at the coffee shop, my heart pounding as I took a seat at a small table near the window. The familiar aroma of coffee filled the air, but it did little to soothe my nerves. I watched people pass by, couples laughing and sharing moments that felt light years away from my own reality. I glanced at my phone, and just as I was about to get lost in my thoughts, I saw her walking in. Lisa looked different. She had lost weight, her eyes were puffy from lack of sleep, and there was an air of vulnerability about her that tugged at my heartstrings. I stood up to greet her, and we exchanged awkward smiles before sitting down. The silence between us was palpable as we both sipped our coffees, unsure of where to begin. "Jake," she started, her voice trembling, "thank you for meeting me. I know this is hard, and I appreciate you giving me a chance to talk." I took a deep breath, reminding myself of the boundaries I was determined to uphold. "I'm glad we're meeting too, Lisa, but I think we need to be honest about where we stand." She nodded, her expression serious. "I've had some time to think. I've been going to therapy regularly, and it's helped me understand my actions. I can see how selfish I've been. I can't express how sorry I am for the pain I caused you. I didn't realize how much I was pushing you away until it was too late." As she spoke, I saw the sincerity in her eyes, but I couldn't shake the memories of betrayal that still haunted me. "I appreciate that you're taking responsibility, but it's going to take more than just words for me to trust you again," I said, my voice steady. "You hurt me deeply, and I can't just forget that." "I know," she said softly, her eyes brimming with tears. "I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I just need you to know that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. I've realized how much I love you, and I don't want to lose you." I looked into her eyes, searching for any sign of dishonesty, but all I saw was regret. The woman sitting in front of me was not the same person who had chosen to betray our marriage. She was vulnerable, stripped of her defenses, and I could see the depth of her remorse. But I also felt the weight of my own heart, heavy with the scars from her actions. "Lisa, I won't lie to you. I still have a lot of pain surrounding everything that happened. I've been working on myself, finding my own strength, and I still don't know if I can see a future with you. This is a lot to process," I confessed. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I respect that. I just want to be given a chance to prove myself. I understand if you need time. I'll wait for you, Jake. I'll do the work, and I'll show you that I can be the partner you deserve." Her words lingered in the air, and for the first time I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe there was a path forward, but it would require effort and time from both of us. "I appreciate your willingness to work on yourself, but I need to be clear. If we're going to consider rebuilding this, it has to be based on trust and open communication. I can't go through another betrayal." "I promise," she said, her voice steady despite her tears. "I will do everything I can to earn your trust back. I've learned so much about myself, and I want to share that with you." We spent the next hour discussing our feelings, our fears, and what the future could look like. I was surprised at how easily we slipped into deeper conversations, conversations that we hadn't had in a long time. There was a sense of vulnerability between us that felt almost comforting. As we wrapped up our meeting, I realized that while the road ahead was uncertain, I was no longer afraid of it. I had taken control of my life and I was ready to face whatever came next. I could feel the remnants of our old relationship slowly beginning to shift, and it was exhilarating. "I'm not ready to make any commitments yet," I said as we stood to leave, "but I'm willing to explore the possibility of rebuilding our relationship, one step at a time." "Thank you, Jake," she said, her face lighting up with a mixture of joy and relief. "I'll be here waiting for you." As I walked away from the coffee shop, I felt lighter. I had a long journey ahead of me, but I was no longer carrying the weight of someone else's betrayal. I was reclaiming my narrative step by step, and that felt like a victory in itself. In the weeks that followed, Lisa and I took small steps toward rebuilding our relationship. We moved cautiously, exploring therapy together and learning how to communicate better. It was a slow process filled with ups and downs, but it was also liberating. I was learning to prioritize my own needs and heal from the wounds of betrayal. Looking back, I realized that this experience had taught me valuable lessons about love, trust, and resilience. No matter the outcome, I had discovered my own strength and learned to prioritize myself. I was no longer defined by my marriage. I was building a life that was truly mine, one that was filled with hope and possibility. And with that thought, I stepped into the future with determination, knowing that whatever lay ahead, I would face it on my own terms.